All right, welcome into the second week of the NFL season. It's the Better-in-Laws podcast with Tuck Silva and brother-in-law Matt Prisco. Matt, how we doing, buddy?
Doing well, Tuck. How are you?
Good, good. Overall, kind of iffy week one in terms of being a viewer. I thought that the primetime Thursday and Friday games were probably the highlights of the week outside of Pats winning. I don't even know on a national scale if that was a massive story. Texans Colts was good.
Yep.
Cards Bills was good, but outside of that 4 o'clock slate was brutal.
4 o'clock was tough. We had the
boy.
Sunday night game was good though. OT game, Rams Detroit.
Okay, fair.
Detroit.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, I'm always way too hyped up for week one.
Yeah, well,
So it was kind of a letdown, but nonetheless, football's back and can't really complain about that. I did mention that Friday game. I do want to make note that we were at a wedding last Friday, as you who follow us on at Better-in-Laws on Instagram saw the video that Matt decided to post about 6 gin and tonics deep.
yep. We were buckled. We were moving.
We was an interesting phrase, but
Well, I was ready to rock and roll, and I was not wrong, Tuck, in my analysis.
No, you weren't. You weren't at all. And go check it out if you haven't already. It's at Better-in-Laws on Instagram. But pretty much what the video said was the Eagles are down, and we're not going to sweat it here, although I was a little iffy on it, as I usually am. And sure enough, the Eagles came back, and they won.
Told you to bet it live. Doubled down myself.
What were the odds at that point on the Bet It Live?
I went money line at that point, plus 135. So nothing crazy. It was still a close game, but got some plus money there, so it was nice.
All right. I also wanted to make note that Matt was one of 2 people at the wedding who was streaming it on their phone on Peacock.
Yeah, I told you last year. Peacock comes free with Comcast. The downside of that is they don't give it to you on the mobile version. So
Which is silly.
Buckled up and paid because you know what? I've got Peacock free for a long time.
Well, that doesn't make sense that if you are an Xfinity subscriber, you can't just stream Peacock. I mean, I guess it does make sense because, money.
Money. That's what it comes down to.
And then one other fellow we ran into at the bathroom line, I could see the phone was on in his pocket, like halfway hanging out of his pocket. He was waiting in line to take a leak. So we started talking him up about the Eagles, and he was an Eagles fan. And I said, so what's going on? How are you feeling about the Eagles this year? Was it Sirianni? Was it Hurts? And he goes, no, Shane Steichen.
Interesting take. I'll tell you what, though, Tuck. I love Steichen.
Who left, by the way?
Yeah,
for
left.
those
He's
who
Colts
don't know.
head coach.
Yes.
So, part of the handicap last week is how much I love Shane Steichen and what a job he's done in Indianapolis. So, that said, interesting take from him. Just hearing it from a fan who's a lot closer to the team. I told him not to worry, as I have a lot of confidence in Philly this year, and
yeah, I do too. Have them in the Super Bowl.
They look damn good on offense.
They did, yeah. And Saquon might be the pickup of the offseason already.
Yeah, he looked pretty amazing.
Holy Lord. He looks like such a good fit with that team.
Offensive line. Does wonders, huh?
Yeah, imagine that. Giants.
Yeah.
Only took you 6 years to figure it out, you dummies or whatever.
Did they yet?
No, not yet. I mean, that's why Barkley's gone, but there you go. So, yeah, the wedding was fun. Congrats to Sean and Julia. Sean's my cousin. We had a great time.
Yep.
I don't know why you'd be listening right now because you're on your honeymoon. So
why wouldn't you be listening? It's a way to win your money back, and your honeymoon was free. So there you go. Listen, Sean.
Yeah.
Julia's locked in, I bet, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One other note before we jump ahead to week 2. You sent me this last night. It was a screen grab from DraftKings or something.
Yeah, I think it was DraftKings.
And it says, NFL could soon look to start the season with games all on Labor Day weekend, with games scheduled Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Count me in. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, be amazing.
Although you being the college football fiend that you are, does that bother you at all?
No, the more the better. Keep it going, right?
Okay.
I mean,
because that's always been college football's thing.
Well, we have Thursday night football in college. It was always college's thing to do that as well. So they still throw games. And listen, if the NFL wants to throw us a product that has like Carolina on a Thursday night, I'll happily watch.
I know, that's the sad part.
The college football game.
So if this were to happen, and it could be, I don't know, I assume it was just a report. I don't know who had it.
Yeah,
it was it was a screen grab I saw.
Pretty sure they were listening to our podcast last week, the NFL was, because we mentioned how we'd like it on Labor Day, and we gave them the bright idea that they wanted to then go ahead and do it.
Well, they would have to eliminate a preseason game probably, or just move the season
if
up
you could just
ahead.
back it up a little bit.
I don't know. Or if they're trying to get to 19 games. What are they at, 18 games?
They're at 17 games, 18 weeks because of the bye.
Okay. So you could do 19 weeks with 2 buys,
I think that's eventually what we're going to see anyways.
Yeah, honestly, that would make a lot of sense. And if you can get Labor Day football like through that stretch, Thursday through Monday, and then you can bump back the Super Bowl to President's Day.
Figure that out.
Oh, man.
Extend the week.
Make that happen. And I think that is going to happen at some point. I don't know, but the President's Day thing.
Let's just change President's Day. Bring President's Day up a week and let's just have
or
the
we could
Monday.
do that. Just change a national holiday.
Big deal.
That's not a big deal.
We're still celebrating the presidents.
Yeah, they have their own day.
Do it, America.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead to actually, no, why don't we run through our week 1 recap here, because we did go 2-0 on best bets, but the likes, mixed bag.
Yeah, Tuck, let's recap. So we'll start with you. Nice best bet winner with the Pats Bengals under 40.5. Not even close to that in that game, huh? Would they get to 23 at its total?
26.
So 26, so you smashed that one. We had the double like on Philadelphia. -2.5 was a win. You had the Giants money line. That was tough.
More on them later.
Didn't look good. Tennessee +4 had to be one of the worst losses in recent memory.
A lot of people got burned by that one.
Up 17-0 in that game.
Yeah,
and
that seemed like it was cake.
Chicago still hasn't scored an offensive touchdown, and they lost. 24.
Caleb Williams was the worst rated quarterback from week 1, and they still blew a 17-point lead.
Yeah, I saw something, and I went to write it down. It was a tweet from, I don't even remember who it was now, but it's like, I think I sent this to you too, that they were like, since 2018, underdogs of 4 or more points that had a 17-point lead at any point during the game were like 66-1-1 since 2018.
I still don't fully understand what happened in that game. So, in my mind, that was a win.
Yeah,
but in reality, loss.
Yeah, you can't throw pick sixes and let punt returns happen. It was a disaster.
Christ,
that was a disaster. So tough one there. And then Carolina +4, slightly missed, almost covered that in the first quarter. Didn't happen.
Look at the 2 giant misses I had. Giants and Carolina.
Yeah, you know what? When you lose big. I like that about you. It's like, let's just lose by 40
Especially
instead
in week
of 4.
1. Especially in week 1.
The good news for you were over my house, and we weren't sweating that at all, right? Like,
it was zero sweat. I was like, oh.
Well, that's just a loss, so we don't have to worry about that in the fourth quarter. So 2-3 for you overall, but 1-0 on the best bet, so we like that, Tuck. Right. We take that. On my side, 4-1, did hit my best bet with Indianapolis +3. Will say, little bit of luck there, Shane Steichen. I love you.
Talk about sweat.
4th and goal on the 4-yard line, down 9 points. You need 2 scores. No reason at all to go for this, except to cover the spread. I love this move. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Indianapolis, fantastic work. Cover by nose hair there, losing 29-27, I believe. I don't know, 2-point game either way. We hit that. Philly, the double like, as we mentioned, had Pittsburgh, Atlanta under 42.5. That was never really close to it. Arizona +6.5. I think Buffalo won that one by 6, so we got it there by the hook, so love that.
Another sweat job.
Yep, another sweaty one, but we won. And then Washington +3.5. They're still not playing defense currently, and Tampa's still throwing touchdowns. So that's the loss there. 4-1 overall, though, and ready for week 2, Tuck.
Yeah, week 2 it is, and the theme of week 2 is dissecting and reacting to the let me rephrase that because I'm a dope. The theme of week 2 is reacting and dissecting the week 1 overreactions.
Yes.
I mean, this is one of the biggest betting weeks of the year, I think, because there's so many just exaggerated reactions to, I mean, just go down the list, whether it's the Patriots, The Bengals are an overreaction. You could make a case for the Bears. Just go down the list. A lot of people think that week one just justifies what's going to happen for the rest of the year, and we all know that's just not true. But everybody gets so excited that week one's back and the NFL's here, and they're like, oh, well, this is what this team's going to be all year.
Yeah, you lost, you suck.
No.
That's how everyone thinks.
So the key to the better is you have to differentiate between what is real, like the Panthers sucking, or the Giants sucking, and what is probably fake, like the Bengals not showing up and putting 10 points against the Patriots. So that we're here to do that for you today. And with that, if you are a new listener to the podcast, thank you. Be sure to subscribe to us on Instagram, like I mentioned, Twitter, TikTok, @BetterInLaws. And definitely give us a like and 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to it. But the format of the podcast is we give out our likes, go through the rest, and get to our best bets of the week to wrap up the podcast. So with that being said, let's jump ahead to our likes for week 2. Matt, why don't you kick us off here?
All right, buddy. Let's jump right into a 1 o'clock square play that I have. That is probably my 5th like if I had to tell you in ranking order. It is the New York Jets minus 3.5 for me. I really would have loved this spot if Tennessee did hang on last week, and they did not. So we now have this at 3.5. I was hoping to get a 3 at record time. It's minus 3, minus 105 pretty much everywhere. So 3.5 minus 105, I should say. If we get to minus 3, I'm going to really hammer that. But for the show's purposes, we're not there yet, so we got a minus 3 and 3.5, and we're taking it. Look, the Jets Monday night went to San Francisco. I think the expectations were a little bit higher for the Jets to compete a little bit more in that game. They did not.
I would say that the majority of people were on the Jets on Monday night to cover, at least.
Yeah.
At least in my social circle, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Especially with the McCaffrey news.
When the McCaffrey news came out, I think a lot of people...
That came down to 3.5, right?
Came down to 3.5. And it's funny, like, as the week went on, I'm like, I'm going with San Francisco. In my group chat, I was like, let's go with San Francisco. We're betting the Niners, and it's not like me being a fan. It was just too much Jets love at the end of the day.
I just couldn't believe how they could not stop Jordan Mason at all, or Debo.
They were scheming up.
It was just like
Kyle put on a clinic the other night with play calling.
Yeah. I don't know if which broadcast you were watching, if it was the Manning cast or Buck and Aikman, which is going to be a problem, by the way. I love both broadcasts, and I don't know which one to choose because obviously Belichick's on the Manning cast. But what they were saying on the Manning cast was like they're just exploiting the C gap. They're just blasting the Jets in the C gap, and they cannot stop it whatsoever. So, I mean, the Jets are supposed to be this top-tier defense, and they couldn't stop Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason is like a little Marshawn Lynch. He's always been that guy since they drafted him. I've been a big fan of him.
Yeah.
Obviously, with McCaffrey, we want him in the game, but I have no worries at all with Jordan Mason coming in the game. And I know they lost Eli Mitchell for the year to the IR, and honestly, I think Mason's a better back for them. The way his style is just
good motor.
Really, and you could see in the fourth quarter, the third and fourth quarter, he wore the Jets defense out. People didn't want to tackle as much. They weren't coming up to hit him. He was carrying defenders with him. I think they just ran down their throat, and at the end of the day, they were more physical. That's what the 49ers do to you.
Yeah.
Not going to see that from the Titans defense, though, or the Titans run game, though. Tony Pollard's not running down your throat, and you don't have Tajay Spears. They're more like quick scat backs. I just like this matchup a little bit better for the Jets here. I know they're going on the road. Both teams 0-1. I can't possibly see the Jets going 0-2 with that roster. I thought the biggest thing...
I could see them going 0-2.
Well, it is the Jets. But at the end of the day, I thought the biggest thing from the Jets' perspective is Rodgers looked good to me. I didn't think he looked shaky in any way.
Yeah.
He's throwing the ball, like some of the throws. And then getting you to jump off sides, is there anybody better in the history of the league?
No,
getting you to jump off sides and then cashing in on that free play. It's just money. I think they get Garrett Wilson involved. They seem to be on the same page all night. Brees Hall. They played a good team.
They had instant chemistry, by the way, Garrett Wilson and Rodgers.
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, they went up against the NFC champs, and they got beat, right? And now I have the Titans as a bottom 5 team. I power rated that before the Chicago disaster last week. I got to stick with that. I do have the Jets as teetering top 10 team, so give me the 3.5 here. I think the Jets get it done closer to anywhere between 4 and 10 points in this game, probably 7-ish, but like the Jets here.
Yeah, I mean, my only hesitation on this pick is just like the Jets are going to jet. And they're coming off of Monday Night Football, so you got to factor that in too.
Yep.
But, again, if you lose the way that the Titans did last week, you're up 17-0, then how are you any better than the Jets or jetting,
No, yeah, exactly. The talent level on these two rosters is just significant. The spot is tough for the Jets coming off Monday Night Football, cross country, as you said. They get home probably Tuesday morning, then they're hopping back on a flight to Nashville on Saturday. So there's a lot of travel involved here. I'm playing pure talent. It's square. I know it, but I think they get the job done here.
I mean, Breece Hall did look good, but he was still relatively just silenced against the 49ers, and I think he's going to bounce back in a big way with a 100-yard rush output. I would expect that.
Like that.
Let's get to my first like here, and you can help me out with this one because this is going to be your favorite team, obviously, and it is the San Francisco 49ers at 6 on the road in Minnesota. I don't care if it's the short rest. It's the 49ers, and they should handily beat Minnesota. This is a defense that just held Breece Hall at a 3.4 yards per carry with a forced fumble, so Aaron Jones does not really scare me on the Viking side of things. I don't know what the status of Jordan Addison is going to be. He went out of the game with an ankle injury, I believe, so keep an eye on that. And Sam Darnold, don't rule out that factor too. Sam Darnold was Kyle Shanahan knows Sam Darnold very, very well after being a backup with the 49ers last year. So I don't know. I just think that this is easily a touchdown game, and it might be a square play, yes, but I think that the Niners aren't going to have any issues with the Minnesota Vikings to cover a touchdown. Do you?
I hope not, but I'll say, I make the game 7. It's close.
Yeah, touchdown.
A touchdown, road game, first road game.
Home opener for the Vikings.
Home opener for the Vikings. Darnold played well last week, but again, that was the Giants. So this is like, what do you believe here? This is like, is this an overreaction? Is it real? Are the Vikings a little bit better than what we gave them credit for? On offense, if Darnold can play the way he did against the Giants, they're going to be just fine. Same thing with the defense. They'll be okay. I think this line's pretty much right on. I think San Francisco sneaks out with a win. But I don't really have much on this game, despite it being the Niners. Addison's questionable. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners have Pats next week, right? Isn't that who it is?
Rams next week.
Oh, Rams next week. Oh, okay. So maybe that could get a little dicey with the look-ahead spot possibly on the road in L.A. But still, I mean, it's the Niners. I think they're on a friggin' mission this year.
They're on a mission.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just a bad spot to drop your second game of the season against a team like the Vikings, who are just really battling from a difficult offseason.
Yep.
So, yeah, just give me the Niners -6. Nice and easy there for me. It looks like we have a double like here.
We have 2 double likes this
week.
We have
2
and
double
they got
likes
them right in a row.
And we got them right in a row, yes.
And then your third like is the same game, or your fourth like is the same game as
all
my
right,
fourth.
So let's just bang them out then, all right? Dallas -6.5. Dallas had a really solid performance against a very tough Cleveland defense. Never mind what's going on with Deshaun Watson and that mess. By the way, just real quick, just cut Deshaun Watson. Just cut him. I don't care what the dead cap. I don't care.
Well, we're talking.
If you want to send a message to your fan base, and now you have this other sexual assault case that's coming across.
I did see that came
with
out.
Deshaun Watson. Get rid of this guy.
Is that?
Just admit it's already a bad trade. We already know it's a bad trade. Just cut your losses. Move on to Jameis Winston's there, right?
Yeah, you can play Jameis.
Do Jameis Winston or DTR. Do one of the two. Get this guy out of there. Get him out of your organization. Just get it over with. These guys clearly not the same since he was traded from Houston for multiple reasons, whether that's because of the massive contract or something that's going on in his head with all these sexual assault cases. Just cut the guy. Get him out of there. He won't sign with another NFL team because nobody wants him. Nobody wants to deal with him. He's so useless, and I think he's really negatively impacting that entire locker room. That's just me. So going back to Dallas, though, really good performance against that Cleveland defense. Mm-hmm. And Derek Carr on the road with the Saints in Dallas's home opener. good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean, they were not challenged whatsoever in week 1 with the Panthers and the Saints home opener. It might as well have been a preseason game, quite honestly. So, Dallas, they got their wide receiver inked up, CeeDee Lamb. They got their quarterback inked up, extended. It's time to go. They're going to rout the Saints on Sunday, 6.5. I don't understand it. Another square play, but I can't let it go by me. I mean, Dallas by a touchdown, absolutely.
All right. Yep. I am double liking this one. I love Dallas at 6.5. I was actually expecting to pay a little extra tax on Dallas this week when I saw the line open at 6.5, and it has not moved. It's actually come down in some spots to 6, but mostly 6.5 is widely available, and that still doesn't concern me whatsoever because I don't think we're taking into account how bad the Saints are. I think what the tax that we were going to pay on Dallas, I think the Saints beating Carolina by 41.
We've learned nothing. We learned nothing.
Yeah, we know what the Saints are. They're not a good football team. Derek Carr is a bottom-tier quarterback. He's going on the road. Alvin Kamara is aging, so let's see what he looks like against a real defense in the Cowboys. Only player on the Saints offense that I actually like at this point is Chris Olave.
Yeah, solid.
And I'm not sure Derek Carr can get him the ball consistently. So I like the New Orleans defense a little bit. That's the strong part of this team. But this is a tough spot.
Yeah,
I mean, we know
they're
this is
top 15 defense.
But this is what Dallas does. They crush bad teams or below 500 teams at home. This spot has been the same for 2 to 3 years. I'm not overthinking it. I consider the Saints a below-average team. They're going to Dallas. I'm getting less than a touchdown. I think this game has blowout written all over it, too. So we'll start to get into next week, probably into like some more statistics around yards per play. But you need a couple of weeks before we can dive into the stats specific from a gambling perspective, in my opinion. But I can't see the Saints keeping this close. I don't see a scenario where they keep this game within 7.
For what it's worth, and granted it is dated, but Derek Carr has played the Cowboys twice in his career. Back in 2017, he had 171 yards with 2 touchdowns, no picks, and then more recently in 2021 on the road in Dallas, and this is when he was with the Raiders. He had a nice day, actually. He had 373 passing yards and 1 touchdown, no picks. But again, that was Derek Carr of 4 years ago,
and
3
it's
years ago.
Micah Parsons Dallas defense.
Right.
Like this
that defense
is so
was
much better now.
Oh, so much better. And pair that with the fact they're going to be really jacked up in Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't think the Saints have a chance.
No, I'm with you.
All right, on to our second double like here, third like overall. This one I kept going back on, but I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. Cincy +6 on the road in Arrowhead Stadium. Why don't you take this away?
All right, well, I was not going back and forth. This is the Overreaction 101. I mean, this is the Overreaction game of the week. If you want to talk about overreactions, this is the spot. So let's just take this back to late last week, the opening line even, -3.5 Kansas City, okay? So last week, we had Kansas City -2.5 against Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting -6 against Cincinnati. What are we doing? Before the season started, we basically had Baltimore, and most people who power rate teams in general have Baltimore and Cincinnati relatively even. You can give a point to Baltimore here. Some people thought Cincinnati be a little bit better. I think the majority of people thought Baltimore. But either way, let's call them even for what it's worth. Now, what happened? Kansas City won by a shoelace, right? So, and then Cincinnati loses to New England. Do they deserve to drop 3.5 points? Absolutely not. Like, at the end of the day, yes, Cincinnati was shocked by the Patriots. But when you actually peel the onion back, is it shocking they lost? Yes, to me. Is it shocking they didn't cover? No. I mean, the Jamar Chase stuff, T. Higgins was out when we recorded last week. We didn't think that was going to happen. That was kind of a late injury week news. So no T. Higgins. Chase was, a shell of himself. So they get a week of practice. They had Kansas City on deck to begin with. This team is 0-1. They do not want to start 0-2 again. And this team plays Kansas City as well as anybody plays Kansas City. Like, Joe Burrow's gone into Arrowhead before and won. So, for me, I'm not worried about the 6 here at all. I'm not saying I'm going to go bet them money line here, but Cincinnati's the one team that you're giving me close to a touchdown going into Arrowhead that I'm like, it's a no-brain bet for me. This is very close to being my best bet. Now, Mahomes is a favorite of more than 3 points in his career, 48% ATS.
Okay.
Less than 3, that's where you want to bet him. He's at 72%. So he cleans up being less than 3 points, including being an underdog, which is rare, but 72% of the time, that's where you want to bet the Chiefs. So the other thing I want to call out, because I got this from the Action Network, and it was really, really good stat. Mahomes is 10, 13, and 2 when the line moves 2+ points towards his team from the opener.
Wow.
And the opener
that's a great stat.
was -3.5.
Say that again? One more time?
Mahomes is 10, 13, and 2 when the line moves 2 points towards his team.
Huh.
And we've got that here.
Love
right?
this.
This is 2.5. We're getting 2.5 points of value from the open. It's too many.
Yeah.
Give me the Bengals. I love this game. I think they have a chance to win outright. Am I going to bet them outright? No. Joe Burrow's 0-4 in his career in week 2. Whatever that means.
Yeah, I mean, just the notes that I have are that Burrow is 3-1 in his career versus Kansas City. And outside of the Browning game, there have been 4 games decided by a field goal between these two teams.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be a close game. I don't understand that, like you pointed out, I don't understand the movement of Cincy here. I know there's concerns around the team, whether it's T. Higgins' hamstring injury. I think he's going to be back. I think he was maybe resting just to prep for this game.
Yes.
Or the Jamar Chase situation with his contract and the slow start of Joe Burrow historically in his career. But they've never had Kansas City this early in the season. Joe's going to be fine.
Yeah, and Higgins, I really genuinely think that they thought they could beat the Patriots without him.
Yeah.
And,
definitely.
And they're like, if this was like a coin toss if we're going to play him or not, like he's teetering on healthy or not, why would you play him?
Right.
Even if you lost that game, you need him for Kansas City. And with that guy's injury history, you need him healthy for the long run of your season, so sit him.
Right. Yeah, it's just the definition of a week 1 overreaction is fading the Bengals.
Yep.
I do not get it. That being said, Kansas City offense looks really friggin' good.
Fast.
Really fast. Oh, boy. But I think Joe Burrow's going to slow it down, and it'll be fine.
I was at the bar for this game. I just want to tell this really quick.
Yeah.
I was at the bar for the Kansas City Ravens game, and I almost hopped the bar and went through the TV. If the Ravens couldn't cover Rashee Rice on a 5-yard slant, I mean, they ran the play like 17 out of 20 plays. It was driving me crazy.
Rice and Worthy could wreak havoc for years to come.
Yeah.
With their speed alone.
Rice should be in prison.
Yeah, we'll see what that situation.
We don't suspend guys in Kansas City.
That kind of disappeared, huh?
Yeah, we'll just forget about that. Anything you do in Kansas City, just kind of
not a big deal.
Disappears.
Just leave your car on the highway.
Yeah,
you can
no
do whatever
big deal.
you want.
Yeah.
If I did that though,
you wouldn't be doing this podcast.
No.
Well, we could be doing it from prison. I'd come and visit you, and we could do the pod live. They'd allow that.
Yeah, the prisoners were like that too.
Yeah,
make us do it naked probably. All right, let's move ahead to our other game here. It is the same game we have, however, it's not the same approach. Give me the Rams plus 1.5 here. If you can help me out with the spread, if you see anything better. I saw that did come down to +1 for the Rams, so it's kind of teetering back and forth. But I saw it this morning as plus 1.5. We're recording on Wednesday afternoon at the moment, but.
Yeah, it's Arizona -1 pretty much everywhere right now.
Listen, I like Arizona. I think they're kind of underrated heading into this year. They competed very well against Buffalo in a tough spot, but it's week 1. Everybody's going to be jacked up to play in Buffalo in week 1, and the Cardinals showed up. So I'll give them that. But this is just a pick that's based on history here. The Rams have gone 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 visits to Arizona. And you can also sprinkle in another overreaction here in terms of the Puka Nacua injury. I mean, Puka Nacua was a rookie last year.
Yeah.
They are 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 visits to Arizona. They did not have Puka Nacua this entire time. They're going to be just fine without Puka Nacua versus this defense. Cooper Kupp looked like Cooper Kupp of old. Kyron Williams is an absolute beast against Arizona. Last year, In one game, he had 20 carries, 158 rushing yards with 1 touchdown, 7.9 yards per carry. And then in another matchup, he had 16 carries, 143 yards, 8.9 yards per carry with six catches and 2 receiving touchdowns in that second matchup against the Cardinals. This is an overreaction to the Puka injury and maybe the Rams' loss. I know it's the Cardinals' home opener, and I wonder if Marvin Harrison's going to bounce back from his 1-catch game. But still, I can't take the Rams as dogs on the road in Arizona, given their history. Give me the Rams plus 1.5.
All right, bud. Yeah, and you're seeing ones and a half. A market, I shouldn't say one across the board. It is like teetering. Plenty of 1.5s out there. Take the 1.5. This game opened Rams -2, and I sort of leaned Arizona at that point, but I don't know. Anything under a field goal, I could see this game going either way. But I'm focusing on the total because I think both defenses are suspect. I know the Rams played a really good defensive game against the Lions last week, but that was the Lions. They had to play a little bit tougher there. I think with Arizona's offense, they're better than the Rams' defense. Where Arizona struggles is absolutely defensively. They couldn't stop anything against the Bills.
Right.
Nothing. So the Rams are going to score their points. I'm not worried about that. You just did a nice breakdown on where I think they're going to beat them, and it's with Kyron Williams. The Nakua injury hurts, obviously.
It
but
definitely hurts.
They still have other guys like Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson stepped up out of nowhere the other night.
Good DFS play this week.
Yep, exactly. So they have options. Cody Parkinson looked good at the tight end spot for them with Higbee still out. So the only concern for me with the Rams is their offensive line is really banged up. They still have a guy suspended. They got 2 more injuries. Who knows if they're going to play.
Yeah, but they were okay versus the Lions front.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about it from the Arizona defense is not the defense that takes advantage of that. I just see shootout all over this game.
Definitely.
And I'll be honest, in division games, I usually lean towards the under as a rule of thumb. But this one, other side, I think there's a lot of offense in this game. You see it early. You see it often. I could see this getting into like a 31-28 final, something up there.
Yeah.
This is going into the 50s. I'll be stunned if not. So give me the over 49 right now. Love that.
I like that too. All right, well, we got 2 double likes here on the slate. Let's just I'll recap the likes at the end of the podcast when we wrap up with best bets there. All right, let's get to the rest here. And since we're recording on Wednesday, we do have time to maybe touch on the Thursday Night Football match. A good one with the Bills.
Yeah, good one.
On the road in Miami. This line kind of moving a little bit here and there, but the last I saw was the Bills plus 2.5, correct?
Yes, that's pretty much everywhere in market at this point right now.
And what are the trends looking like on that one? Because we're closer to kickoff on this.
Yeah, we're seeing 59% of the tickets on Buffalo, 55% of the money on Buffalo, and 55% of the tickets on the under, 77% of the tickets under money.
I mean, Tua's record versus the Bills is awful.
Yeah.
Isn't it 1 in something?
I don't have it off the
1
top of my head,
4?
but he doesn't play well against
1
them.
in 6 something? Yeah. And he acknowledged this week that he's got to. I'm paraphrasing, but he's got to prove it versus the Buffalo here. My gut says to lean the Dolphins here, but it's such a tough pick. I'm ultimately staying away from it.
Yeah, Thursday night game. I think Miami's the better team. Josh Allen played like a superhero last week to come back and beat the Cardinals. But that's the Cardinals' defense.
Total on
I
this
think Miami's a little bit better than that.
Total on this one's 48.5, by the way.
Yeah, I'm staying away. I'll tell you how I did play it. I teased it with what did I tease it with? Oh, Houston, Sunday night. I'm doing the two of the primetime games teasing. Buffalo up to 8.5. Houston down to a half a point.
Oh, okay.
So just need Houston to win, and then Buffalo getting 8.5. That was the tease.
I mean, so do you have any feel on this one in terms of?
I would take Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo. Well,
right. That's kind of where I'm at too.
Buffalo steamrolled Miami in the spot last year. Steamrolled week 2. Went to Miami, 1:00 game, and blew their doors off. And I have Miami as a like, so I know that.
The only news we have on this game is Mostert is out. Raheem Mostert is out for the Dolphins, so maybe it's a Jalen Wright debut night.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. This game I'm staying away. Like I said, I teased it. I really don't have an opinion on it at all. That kind of number.
I don't even like the total. Like this could easily just be a weird Thursday night sloppy game.
I have no opinion
Divisional
on that.
game, right? You know?
Yeah, I could see it being ugly. I could see it going over the top. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get right now from either one of these teams in this game. I'm away from it. I feel confident with Buffalo getting 8.5, though, so that's why I did what I did.
I do like I hit this at even money the other day. It's come down a little bit. Devon Achane anytime touchdown is -110. I got it at even money
Yeah, I like
the
that.
other day. And I parlayed that with Tyreek Hill, anytime touchdown scorer. So that's just me. Very, very as square as possible,
Well,
but you know, who else is going to score for the the Dolphins more than those two guys, or consistently at least.
Yeah, consistently. I don't know.
All right, let's jump ahead to the Sunday slate there. No Thursday night bets. We have the Seahawks taking on the New England Patriots in Gillette's home opener here, plus 3.5 for the Pats. Listen, we were bashing the Bengals about how they dropped against the Patriots, but we can't dismiss what the Patriots' effort was in Week 1 there. Their game plan was solid. I thought that Alex Van Pelt and Jacoby Brissett's experience in their Browns days helped play to that, and their knowledge of Cincinnati's approach, can't rule that out, so hat tip to both of those guys there. And they pounded the run, and they played physical on defense, very physical on defense, like some highlight reel tackles. One guy, I think it was Marcus Jones, absolutely leveled somebody at the sticks, and we were like, boo! Just really, really physical defensive play from the Patriots. So got to like that. That being said, and I know this is a West Coast to East Coast matchup, I still don't believe in this offense whatsoever. I mean, if you're going to rely on Ramondre Stevenson to carry the rock 25 times a day with that offensive line, like I know that Ramondre's body type has really improved since this contract. It looks ripped, but that offensive line still sucks, man.
Yeah, I'm interested to see New England play from behind. What happens if they go down 7? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that game, and kudos to them because they went out, they scored first, and they never played from behind. They were able to manage the clock. They got to play their game. What happens if Seattle scores first? And that's what I want to see here. Like, I don't know. If you force the Patriots to throw the ball and come back and not play their game, I think they're in trouble. So for me, it's a stay away at 3.5. If this was a 3 or does get to 3, I will say I will play Seattle at that number. But again, they're still like a team that I don't know who they are to come in and be favored by 3.5 over anybody. This is a game that I'd prefer to stay away from, quite honestly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we still don't know the status of Kenneth Walker, although I'd be surprised if he didn't play. But who knows? Maybe it's strictly a Zach Charbonnet game with Walker left the game with an ankle. Is that what it was?
Abdomen, I think.
Abdomen? Okay. So we don't know the status of Walker there, but still, I mean, even without Walker, like Charbonnet would be
He's
fine.
He's good.
Versus this front. You know, I'm not too worried about that.
They're going to get what they get.
Yeah, and he's still got pretty good wideouts. JSN, Lockett, DK Metcalf.
It feels weird to say this is more of a test for New England with Seattle's offense coming into town as opposed to Cincy, but Cincy was so banged up last week.
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see. There's a lot of weapons if Seattle's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a good test for this defense. It's good. It's honestly a good game to see where New England actually really
it's
is.
a great barometer. I mean, yeah, they very well could be 2-0. And I was laughing at that.
Didn't see that coming.
Last week. I was laughing at that take. But here we are. They very well could be 2-0 to start the year. Point total on that one was 37.5, by the way. That was very close to being a like for me because, again, still struggle to see how the Patriots can score more than one touchdown.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
general.
16 points and they won. So that's
right.
That sounds about
Listen,
right. You keep them under 16.
If you want to keep playing that way and it's working, by all means, have at it. But in terms of points, I'd still lean under any time when the Patriots on the docket here. Raiders on the road in Baltimore with Baltimore's home opener. Baltimore's favored by 9 here. Point total on this one is 41.5 here. This could very well be a smash spot for the Baltimore Ravens, but still, I still believe in Minshew Mania with Vegas, so I am staying away from that one. It could be too many points for me. What do you think?
I can't. This is going to be a lot of Baltimore spreads all year long, and I can't. I hate betting this with Baltimore. I don't know what I'm getting from Lamar Jackson week to week. The guy's just so inconsistent. Even on the Thursday night game, he had some terrible throws, and then all of a sudden he's leading them back like he's like Lamar, like you'd expect, right? Like making plays, and I just don't know what we're getting week to week. I feel like this could be an absolute smash spot where Baltimore wins by 25 at home, and you're not worried about it. But
very well could be that.
I could also see Vegas hanging in, and this is being like a close game that Baltimore even like comes too close to losing, right?
Yep.
Like I'm away from it. I can't with these lines with Baltimore. You're going to see a lot of them.
Chargers on the road in Carolina in front of a home crowd of what's going to be 3,500 people probably, because the Panthers look like a college team. I don't understand what's going on in Carolina. I don't understand what's going on with Bryce Young. I know it's 1 week, but this is not a week one overreaction. That team continues to blow. It's not going to change anytime soon. Point total here is 6.5. Chargers favored, obviously. Point total is 38.5. It's just going to be a gross game. I don't even believe in the Chargers offense to this point. Although, I saw J.K. Dobbins rip one off for 61 yards. Nice to see him, have a great debut with the Chargers, because I am rooting for that guy given this injury history, but I just... would it shock you if the Panthers covered this?
It wouldn't shock me if the Panthers won this game. I almost bet this game, and I go, I can't do this to the people.
Just
I will
because
have too many texts about people being like, this is disgusting. I'm not taking Carolina.
It's the Chargers still.
It's still the Chargers. They do have an identity for once, though, and it is running the ball and playing good defense. And Carolina still clearly has no identity. I had higher hopes for Carolina, but I'm also trying not to overreact to one game either. So this is a game that Carolina absolutely should cover. That number's too big. I have not bet this game yet. I wanted to get to 7. If it gets to 7, I'm playing it.
Okay.
And I'm going to have 150 texts from people being like, I hate you. Why are you doing this? Why are we betting Carolina?
That's going to move to 7.
It's going
to.
Watch. I mean, it opened 3.5. I mean, 7 is... You have to... I play numbers, not teams, and the value at 7 is too much for me to not play. I'm not playing it at 6.5 because it's still Carolina. And I've made an internal rule with myself. Until I see something from Carolina, I can't bet them plus money anything under a touchdown.
Colts on the road in Green Bay for Lambeau Field's home opener here. Point total in this one is 3.5 in favor of the Colts without the Jordan Love-led Packers. Malik Willis will be taking over the helm here. Point total in this one is 41, Matt.
So close to taking the Packers, but I don't want to root for Malik Willis. I've seen Malik Willis play football, and it's something I don't ever want to watch again.
No, Vrabel hated that dude.
I'm now going to have to. The difference, though, is Matt LaFleur. And I think Matt LaFleur is not going to... He'll design things to get Willis getting the ball out to his receivers, a lot of run game going. I think you see a lot of Josh Jacobs in this game. But that's what Indianapolis is anticipating. So they got to find a way to keep their receivers involved. And I think LaFleur will scheme some things up.
Yeah.
If this game, I was so close to this. This came to my final pick between the Jets and this game.
Okay.
So I want to take the Packers. But Indy losing a close one last week. If Indy won that game, even with Willis, this number would be 4.5. Now we're starting to take the Packers. That's the number I'm taking them at. But it's too close here to liking, and it's actually moving closer to 3.
The other element to this is that Malik Willis was just acquired by the Packers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Literally a couple weeks ago. So he's still getting... I mean, I know they're going to dumb down the playbook, but still, that's a huge adjustment.
Yep.
So close to the season being acquired.
Real quick on Indy.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, this guy, I can't understand him.
Athletic
it was
freak.
insane. The touchdown throw he had to Pierce
that was crazy.
Absurd.
Crazy.
Absurd. But then he's throwing these 10-yard curl routes that, me and you could hit. It's crazy. His arm strength's outrageous. He's an incredible athlete. I'm more interested to see him on the field and see what he develops into. You got to keep in mind he's almost like a rookie still. Only played 4 games last year, so he's still growing. Lambeau's a tough environment to go on the road. I'm just saying, and that defense will look much better than they did against Philly. Philly's offense is legit. Indy's not coming in with that same firepower, but lean Packers, strong lean at 3.5.
I mean, Colts offense is kind of similar to the Eagles. I mean, elite running back with Jonathan Taylor, capable wideout with Michael Pittman. I mean, I know they don't have the star power wideout that the Eagles have, but still, it's a respectable offense.
Yeah, but Hurts to Richardson right now is, I don't want to say night and day, but we've seen Hurts do it in big moments. We haven't seen Richardson
it looks like
do
a
it yet.
dumbed down version of the Philly offense,
like
what they're
that's
doing
fair.
in Indianapolis.
That's fair.
Where am I here? Bucks and Lions. Point total in this one is 51. Lions are favored by 7 here. Want to smash the over in this one, but it's still way too many points for me to be comfortable with taking the over. But this has clearly a shootout written all over it. What do you say?
I like the over in this game. I haven't bet it yet, but that number is
okay.
Detroit's weakness is their secondary, and I think that's where Tampa wants to go. I don't believe in Tampa's right now. Tampa's got 3 guys questionable in the secondary, so good luck stopping the Lions. If Jamison Williams in that game looks like a legit wide receiver 2 now. They just have more weapons on that team.
Yep.
Then what more do you need? They're scoring in the 30. I don't know how Tampa's going to hold them under 30. So it's a matter of do you think Tampa's going to get in the 20s? And I actually do, especially if they're playing from behind. You're going to see Baker hailing the ball out to Mike Evans, firing off to Chris Godwin, all his weapons that he's got. So they're not a shabby offense, like too shabby. I think a lot of points coming in this game. I strongly lean to the over, even at that high number.
Just a quick note here. I was looking at David Montgomery, and he has 2.3 yards per carry versus this Tampa Bay defense last year. He had 6 carries and 14 rushing yards. I don't know if he left the game.
Was that the playoff game?
It was October. Maybe that's when he left. That seems like a very low line for David Montgomery. But
yeah, I don't think that was surprising.
But speaking of the Bucs, I mean, Baker Mayfield in that offense, like I thought, were really, really good. I understand it's the Commanders and their defense blows, but still, very solid offense still. And Bucky Irving, by the way, looked good too.
Yeah, nice break, Buck. Nice break. Broke a big run. I'll say this. I need to see it against a different team because Washington, we knew their defense was bad. We did talk about that. I know I was on Washington last week, and I said that's the risk.
Yep.
They're worse than I could have even imagined. So let's see it. But I think they're gonna score their points in this game.
Browns and Jags. Jags at their home opener, favored by 3 points. Point total in this one is 41.5.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think about Deshaun Watson? What are your thoughts on him?
Good guy.
Yeah, I figured that. Not to overreact to week
He's
one,
a piece of shit.
No, I know.
I can't stand that guy.
I was very close to taking Cleveland at 3.5 here.
Why?
I'm not ready to write off that Deshaun Watson just simply can't complete a pass anymore. I mean, there were some real problems in that game. He was part of it. Their O-line was a mess. Dallas's front just destroyed them. They just looked flat from the start of that game, and Dallas just looked like the better team who was ready to go in and kick their ass. Now, Cleveland's defense, we talked about them being a little bit overrated, and especially better at home than on the road.
Yeah.
But, are they that bad? They were not great the other day. So I just think this is a perfect bounce-back spot for them. This is another one where if Jacksonville didn't let that game get away last week, I'd be all over Cleveland here, but it's just a lean to the Cleveland side. I think not a high-scoring game. And I think both defenses come to play in this game.
I think this is another game where Brian Thomas scores again. I don't know. It just feels like, he has a solid week one. Now he comes home and wants to impress in front of the home crowd. And, it looks like, again, Calvin Ridley's no longer with the Jags. Somebody's going to be getting those targets besides Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. So in comes Brian Thompson. I know they signed Gabe Davis. That guy
runs straight.
He's one of the most inconsistent wide receivers in recent memory.
He's Forrest Gump. Just run straight.
I'm not kidding. He could have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns this Sunday.
Yeah, he runs
Gabe Davis.
Go routes.
He's that kind of. And then next week, 1 catch, 3 yards, and a fumble.
Yeah.
That's just a game I don't want any part of there. Bears and Texans, Sunday Night Football here. Good matchup here. I was actually leaning Bears on this one with plus 6.5 here. I ultimately stayed away, and I think part of the reason why I was leaning in that direction was because of A, primetime typically favors the underdog, and B, overreaction to week one. I understand that Caleb Williams looked shitty, but again, the Bears defense is pretty solid. I understand it's the Texans home opener and there's Super Bowl chatter around this team. I know that, but 6.5 points is a lot for this defense. That's all.
Yeah, I made the game 7, so I lean Houston here, but I don't know. I think Houston could blow doors in this game. I mean, you know how much I'm not a Caleb Williams fan, and I'm not overreacting to it. This is his first true road game, and it's Sunday night in Houston. That place is going to be a zoo.
Yeah.
So I can just see Houston wiping the floor with them.
I could see Chicago fans traveling well to this game, though.
Yeah.
This is a good one to travel to. Sunday night, prime time, warm climate.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to see more from Caleb Williams, but if he keeps this game close, I'll be impressed because I think on paper I make the game 7.
Yeah,
I haven't got to the window yet, but is it 6 pretty much everywhere now? Looking at the Wager Talk odds screen,
so you seen some money come in Chicago now.
Yep. So
interesting.
Well, we get some reverse line movement. We have 84% of the tickets coming in on Houston, 86% of the money, yet the line went from 6.5 to 6, though it did open at 3.5. So
I don't know what the fuck you just said.
Yeah, well, just saying it's maybe not some reverse line movement, some late money bringing it back down to 6, but the money is definitely on Houston. It's open 3.5. It's now 6.
So why is there money coming in Chicago?
Well,
why did the line move?
Coming up from, you get to a point and then there's some buyback right in the market.
Yeah.
Maybe they're thinking like that's too many points.
Okay.
Could see Houston more of a 4.5-point favorite in this game.
And the last primetime game here is the Falcons and Eagles. Another one that kind of feels like it could be a smash spot for the Eagles here. But again, it's the primetime vibes, and underdogs typically tend to cover on primetime games, and I just want to see it before I play it.
Did you see that like 99% of the snaps in the Atlanta-Pittsburgh game from Atlanta were run out of the shotgun and pistol? Did you see this?
I didn't.
Okay. So every time they're in the shotgun, they threw. And like 88% of the time they're in the pistol, they ran. That's like high school offense
Atlanta.
type. Yes. This is
Why do you think that is? It's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, well, I don't think he can move yet. One of the things that I actually rewatched that game last night, he was not moving off his foot. He can't plant.
Okay.
So little nervous for him right now in the way he looks. Maybe he can do it. He just wasn't doing it.
Now he's going against Philly's front.
Now you're coming back against Philly's front. That's scary. The problem is Philly's secondary still not there yet. I think they'll get there eventually, but you can beat them downfield. And that's like what Green Bay did, right? They took some shots. They beat them downfield. That's how they scored their points. But can Atlanta do that? Yeah, they have weapons. Can Cousins settle in, feel a little bit more comfortable on that foot? But they cannot do that in the NFL. It's like you can't even do that in college football. That's like Pop Warner type stuff where we're going into the gun. Okay. T.J. Watt knew exactly what they were doing. He had the best game of his life, which says a lot for T.J. Watt.
That Steelers defense is solid, though.
He's insane.
Yeah.
But they basically were telling them the plays
right.
in the NFL, in an NFL game. I don't know. You can't see that. So I'm off this. I wanted to take Atlanta with the points because it's a lot of points, but it's also Kirk Cousins prime time, not moving around, coming out of the shotgun, and we're passing out of the shotgun only. No.
On the road in Philly.
Just staying away.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move ahead to our best bets. We're both looking to stay undefeated here and move to 2-0 here. I'll go first because I historically suck at best bets, as we all know.
1-0, Tuck.
1-0, new year, new chapter. Give me the Washington Commanders home versus the Giants -1.5. Listen, with one tie mixed in over the past few years, the Commanders have not defeated the Giants since 2022. I acknowledge that. However, as we witnessed last week, not a week one overreaction. Outside of the Panthers, the Giants very well could be the second worst team in the NFL. And Brian Daboll is very much on the hot seat. I like Brian Daboll. I just think it's time for a change of scenery there. And probably for their quarterback, too. Another disaster there. They still have offensive line woes. It's a new day in Washington. That home crowd is going to be more jacked up than in recent memory with Jaden Daniels leading the way. I think Brian Robinson's going to have a day. Daniels is going to have a day. They're going to be all sorts of jacked up. I don't understand the line. I think this is 3.5, somewhere in that range. I know it's a divisional game. I just see that the offense for the Commanders is going to be clicking on all cylinders in front of the home crowd. So give me the Washington Commanders -1.5.
I lean your way. My numbers support your way. That defense was way worse than I thought, and I know the Giants' offense isn't one to expose, but I actually like the over in this game, which sounds gross between Washington and the Giants. I understand what I'm saying, but I can see some points being scored in this. I think Washington's offense is much improved. If you look at the numbers from Jaden Daniels, I know the game wasn't that close, but he produced. He ran for 80-something yards. He threw for almost – did he throw for 200? I don't know. He had a couple rushing TDs. Like, he played well enough for a rookie to win. The defense did not help whatsoever, and he was playing from behind, so I get that.
184 yards.
184. He was close to 200, but he ran for like 86 or something, right?
Yeah.
And 2 touchdowns. So, like to your point, I think Washington's offense, I'm not really worried about them. They're just going to get better as the year goes on. They do need to run the ball with Brian Robinson and Eckler a little bit more and not have 16 carries for Jaden Daniels because he's not going to last this season getting hit like that.
88 yards rushing for Jaden.
And he also likes to take on contact, and he's built like half of my size, so that's a little dangerous.
I did see one replay, by the way, where Jaden just missed Terry McLaurin for a massive gain. Probably could have been a touchdown, so I mixed that in as well. I just think that the Commanders are going to show up and take care of business, and they're tired of losing to the Giants.
Yeah, and the organization is like they had a rehaul, right? New coach.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Dan Quinn is a defensive-oriented coach, and I think has plenty of experience against this Giants team. I think he's going to know what to do.
Yeah, it is Daniel Jones at the end of the day, but I almost played the over. I probably will get to the window in the over.
What's the total at?
I think it was 44 when I last looked.
44.5, yeah.
44.5. 44. I see 43.5's in market now. 44.5 is DraftKings.
And where did it open?
It opened at 41.5. So
wow,
would really like that.
Yeah, I could see this being a sneaky shootout. I could.
The other thing you got to factor in with both quarterbacks is turnovers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like you have a rookie quarterback with Daniels. You have Daniel Jones who can't stop throwing the ball to the other team. Pick sixes. So factor that in as well. But I lean your side. I like the Washington side. Basically because I don't like the Giants at all.
All right, Matt, what do you got?
All right, best bet, the prettiest game of the day. What do we usually do? Just find the ugly game on the card and just fall in love with it. But this makes no sense to me. I love this bet, and that's the Denver Broncos +3. Wrong team's favored here. I make the game Denver -1. I'm getting a field goal. This game was at 2.5, went up to 3.5, and I missed the 3.5. I came back down. I literally hit submit on my bet, and the odds changed back to 3. So still happy with 3, but God, that would have been the biggest bet of my life with 3.5. I'm not even remotely kidding. The situation to back Mike Tomlin was last week as a road dog around a field goal. It closed almost closer to 4. I think it landed on 4 at the end, and that's the Mike Tomlin special. This is not his sweet spot. Mike Tomlin on the road as a favorite, 44% ATS. When Tomlin opens as a favorite 3 or higher on the road, 39% ATS. So I just this screams Denver to me. I also like playing Denver early on. I've said this on podcast probably last year. I was probably on Denver early. You could probably go back in the archives because I like playing Denver early. It's an altitude advantage, right? Teams are still working to get in game shape. Right, they're not in mid-season form. You go out to Denver, that altitude is a real thing, right? So these teams, the defenses tend to wear down a little bit more in the altitude if you're not used to being there. So like that factor. And then additionally, I actually liked what I saw from Denver last week. I didn't think Bo Nix played out of his mind by any stretch of the imagination, but they led Seattle in the first half. They had 2 safeties. They played dangerously close, and as someone who live bet Seattle money line and -4.5 in that game, they made me sweat. Like they started to pull away, Seattle did, but Denver did not quit. They kept coming. They forced a backdoor push on the original close number of 6, so they were there. I think Bo Nix can make plays. I think you're going to start to see him get involved a little bit more in the run game with his feet, and I trust Sean Payton enough to game plan against TJ Watt. Like keep him out of the game. Run at him. Or, screens to the other side of the field, like movement to the other side of the field. Use Nix in the passing game where you can roll away from where Watt is on the field and run those plays that way. I just you have to keep TJ Watt in his lane, and if you can do that, you're going to win this game. I think Denver wins this game outright.
Wow.
I'm not worried about the +3 whatsoever.
So you have it at -1 Broncos?
I have Denver as a 1-point favorite.
Okay, because on DraftKings right now they're +2.5, +100 even money.
Yeah, it's heavily juiced to the Steelers there, but mostly 3 in market is where you'll find it.
I mean, the hesitation that everybody's going to have is Bo Nix versus this defense.
Yeah. Not worried about it. 6 field goals for the Steelers. We're not talking about Justin Fields here as like this quarterback that's going to absolutely destroy the Denver defense either. Like Denver's defense is pretty solid. They can't throw the ball as is. Now you're going to take away Pickens because they're putting Patrick Surtain on him, and he's going to follow him all over the field. So good luck. Pickens was the one guy on offense that they could get the ball to. Their run game's terrible. Their line still sucks from the last 4 years. Like Pittsburgh on offense, it's a disaster. So I see not much happening with their offense. I like Denver's offense much more than I like the Steelers. And even though I like the Steelers' defense more, they don't pose the same threat that Bo Nix can pose. He had some really good throws in that game. I was impressed watching that, and I was dialed into that a little bit closer in the 4 o'clock hour just because I threw some live money on him. But give me the Broncos. +3 is my best bet. Little sprinkle on the money line for me as well, but for show purposes, +3.
All right. Well, I also let's not ignore the fact that I wish that Russell Wilson was starting this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But
that would
have been nice.
Fun, yeah.
That would have been a nice little wrinkle on this one. I'll give you this. It's a ballsy pick. But you have a very good track record of betting either for or against the Pittsburgh Steelers off the top of my head.
Situational betting with them.
Yeah, I feel like you got a good read on Tomlin.
It's pretty straightforward. When he's a road favorite, he doesn't perform well, and when he's a road dog, he performs better than anybody.
All right, cool.
It's pretty straightforward.
All right, let's just do a quick recap here. Our 4 likes on the slate were San Francisco -6, double like. Dallas -6.5, double like. Cincy +6. L.A. Rams +1.5. Your other likes were New York Jets -3.5 and Rams Arizona over 45.5.
48.5.
Or excuse me, 48.
I would love 45.5.
48.5.
That in market.
Sorry, I jumped ahead to the 5 there. And I made it a 5. It's 48.5.
I'll take whatever number you want to give
I'm coming up on 2 o'clock here, looking for another coffee potentially. And our best bets on the slate, Washington Commanders -1.5, home versus the shitbag Giants. And your best bet, the ballsiest pick so far in this short season so far, Denver, home dogs +3. That's back-to-back home dog picks for you, by the way.
The biggest bet of the season so far for me.
Really?
Yeah, not even close to.
Love it. Love it.
Heavy.
All right, well, let's see if that pays out. It will.
Lock it up.
It probably will. All right, well, again, please follow us on all the socials at Better In Laws. And listen, I'm looking at the stats. I've said this before, but I'm looking at the listener stats. Thank you, number 1. But number 2, the listener stats don't correlate with the likes or the 5-star ratings or reviews or comments that we're getting. I understand you have to take 10 seconds of your precious day. Oh, I'm so busy. I got shit to do. I can't give you the time of that. Well, you know what? We give you these picks. It's the least you could do. Just do us a favor. We're all friends, right? Just do yourself a favor. Give us a like. Or do us a favor. Give us a like, 5-star review, whatever the frig you want to do. Just do it on the podcast thing, because I can't stress enough how important that is to the algorithms on the podcast environment especially. So please do that at Better In Laws.
And I'll even commit, if you want to leave comments, questions, props, questions.
You can leave comments. You can leave comments now on podcast forums.
So leave your questions. I'll take a look at them. Tuck will take a look at them. We'll answer them to the best of our knowledge.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a Q&A or a follow-up or any feedback to any of our podcasts, and we could address them at the following episode. That'd be cool.
That's right. I like that.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. I do genuinely, although I did not sound it, I do genuinely love all of our listeners, and thank you very much for tuning in on a weekly basis. We just ask you to do that. That's all. I'm Tuck Silva. He's Matt Prisco. We are brother-in-laws. We are better-in-laws. And good luck on your week 2 slate here. Bye-bye. See you next week.
See ya.